Good day, everybody. It's 28th of May. It's Wednesday, 2025, and I don't have much battery power on this phone, so I guess I gotta go quickly. I'm gonna be going through the woods here. So, anyway, let me start off. First, George Galloway. He must be watching my videos. I saw him talk about Zelensky as Uriah Heepian. So, like I've been saying in a lot of my videos, that he's a lot like Uriah Heep. You know, I mean, it's like, I don't know, people have been saying similar things, but, you know, using the characteristics of Uriah Heep, like he's always, you know, Uriah Heep, he talks about, oh, we're so humble, and then by that time he takes over everything. So that's Zelensky. Some people say he uses that as a tactic. So anyway, okay, from May 20th to May 27th, Russian Ministry of Defense shot down 2,331 drones. So that's like 1 week, and wow. And I'll get into what Trump, like a lot of people are saying, a lot of informed people are saying. I'll get to that in a minute here. So anyway, the drone warfare is escalating, and Russia has been using some drones, and they've been using some of their Iskanders, and there's missiles and things like that. But because of all the drone strikes that Ukraine has been launching on Russia, and well, I'll get into the fact that Donald Trump doesn't seem to know anything about it. Wow. And so Russia has responded by, of course, I guess one of these drone strikes, the big one that was in Kiev, it destroyed a drone factory, and of course it was at nighttime, so you didn't have many people. Maybe a security guard or two lost their lives, I don't know. And you know, obviously I talked about Maersk yesterday coming out, Russia's killing people, and there was just a video yesterday where there's a church on fire that Ukraine fired a missile or a drone it was a drone into a church, and the church is burning, you know, and in apartment buildings. I mean, it's just never ending. And I think I have some statistics, I wrote them down as well, about how many people Ukraine has killed since the beginning of the special military operation. So let me keep going here. Yeah, in line with Trump saying Putin has gone crazy, he's putting out threats as well about Putin. And but whatever those threats are, you know, it's like, I'll get into that, what Medvedev said. Anyway, let me talk about it now. Medvedev said that the Donald Trump saying he's got some big surprise or something if Russia keeps going, and Medvedev said the only surprise he knows about is World War III. And now, of course, they're coming after Medvedev for saying something about World War III, when in fact he's just talking about, that must be what Trump is talking about, because they've already got 17 rounds of sanctions against them and all. I don't think it's that Trump has necessarily yet gone into his secondary sanctions, which of course means that he's going to threaten anybody that does any business with Russia, if that's what his threats are going to be. That he already put that out. He's basically saying, you will not do any business with Russia. You will believe what we tell you to believe. You will do what we tell you to do, or else we will have heavy sanctions on you, all of you. I mean, it doesn't sound like that's what you would call fair or free trade or anything like that. But that's how it is. That's what he's trying to do, or going to probably do. So let's see what else. So I'll get into some little bit later on in this video that Trump, well, this was my words. I said he's apparently not being informed, but obviously a lot of other people said that as well. So we'll be talking about that. Apparently Trump was not told that Ukraine tried to assassinate Putin either. And I don't know, did I write down here? I said it in one video how many drones they used against Putin trying to attack his helicopter. And the Ministry of Defense had a lot of drones active going after those drones. So so that's one reason why Ukraine was kind of upset about that. So let's see, what else? Wow. So yeah, and Trump, of course, he said Putin's killing people. He's killing lots of people. So Trump wasn't told that was a drone factory. That was not a bunch of people. You know, in other words, he's not only uninformed, Trump is misinformed. But a lot of people are not saying that in their vlogs. They're saying uninformed, but it is also misinformed. Somebody told Trump that Putin is killing people, which is not the case at all. And Russia has been putting it out through many, many people and many sources saying they're not killing people. That is not, those were attacks on military targets, strictly military targets. And at nighttime, if anybody died, it was just military people. So, or like the security guards probably that were probably civilian. I'm guessing. I don't know, when I was in the military, was enlisted, we had to guard army sometimes. In some occasions when I was like a private and a corporal, we had to guard army depots and things like that, but those were on the military base. So whether that does much good or not anyway. Okay, and of course motor pools, and then you're in the, when you make sergeant, of course, then you're responsible for the barrack. In those days, I don't know, I guess nowadays the army lightened up, maybe it's going back to the way it used to be, but they stopped having charge of quarters, CQ, you know, CQ duty, where you I don't, you know, it's kind of weird, because here you are on a military base and you got to guard each building where you have troops sleeping. I don't know what that is for, and if I can remember properly, I don't know if the doors are locked or you can lock them. I just can't remember, so let's go. Okay. And it's also strange, isn't it, that Ukraine never reported any deaths of any people. I didn't see anything. So I don't know where Trump's getting his information. And it's like being misinformed. It's like remember when Trump said he's taken all the troops and things out of Syria, all of them and all that, and it never happened, you know? So you never know what that is. And that reminds me of Jesse Ventura. Remember when Jesse Ventura, he said he made the governor of Minnesota, and right away they took him into a room, some guys with some suits, and said, hey, listen here, you're the governor, but we control everything around here. You do what we tell you to do. Jesse Ventura put that out. You know, and he was a Navy SEAL and a wrestler after that, and a pretty tough guy back in those days. He talks like this, you know. I remember I worked for some guys that were Navy SEALs or something like that. I don't know. And like I said, Delta Force things as well, but let's not get into that stuff. So, and the Kremlin, I don't know who it was that was saying this, but they called Trump's remarks emotional overload. Colonel Douglas McGregor said Russia's actions show that Trump is irrelevant. You know? So in other words, Trump is making these threats and telling Russia what to do and all that, and Trump is saying, well, Putin said, well, we know what we need to do, so that's what they're doing. In other words, that's what he means by irrelevant. Trump said that Putin is playing with fire. And I think Russia would probably say that the West is playing with fire, if you would ask them. Yeah, and Trump is blaming Putin for a lack of progress, and it's like, well, what has Russia ever done to slow the process? They're making a memorandum, and it's been taking like 2 or 3 days already. You know, and Trump said he's going to get it ended in 24 hours. So maybe Putin should say, well, why is Trump dragging his feet? It's already been quite a long time, you know. That's a lot longer than 24 hours, you know, that he said he's going to end the conflict. And of course, the only way that he can really end the conflict, and it's very obvious, is to cut off the friggin' money and the weapons going to Ukraine, and he's not doing that. In fact, he's shoveling even more. He's sending 100 Patriot systems to Ukraine. Does that sound like somebody who wants to end the war? No, it doesn't whatsoever, does it? Oh, here comes 3 guys. They're gonna walk right past me here. Okay, what else? But anyway, what was I going to say? I don't know. I lost my train here. Progress of peace notice in spite of what Kiev says. Yeah, it's whatever Kiev says, you know, like obeying with ceasefires and all. They've never done it, but Trump doesn't seem to notice that. Obviously, Trump is being misinformed. It's just like he was when he was in his first presidency. And it's really strange. Here we are, just people, you know, making these vlogs or watching these vlogs. So you watch former CIA people, former colonels and majors and high people in the government making videos, and they're far better informed than Donald Trump is. Isn't that incredible? Isn't that incredible? And it's a little bit, you know, like Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson, he is informed quite well in a lot of ways, and in a lot of ways, he doesn't know anything sometimes. I hate to say that about Tucker Carlson. I like Tucker Carlson. He gets very well informed by a lot of the guests that he brings on there. But he says, there's no Nazis. That was in the 1930s. There's no Nazis anymore. They say there's Nazis in Ukraine, but there is no Nazis anymore. Well, he needs to look in the internet. You know, he says he doesn't go in the internet. Tucker Carlson needs to look at the internet a couple times. That's my heavy advice to Mr. Carlson. So, okay, Trump posted, if it weren't for me, lots of really bad things would have already happened to Russia. And I mean really bad. He put really bad into capital letters. And well, what is that? If it wasn't for him. So what? Who was voting for what, or who was going to do what? And what the crap are you going to do to Russia? So in other words, if you're going to make some massive attack against Russia, what do you think the response is going to be? Some really bad things. Well, it's really bad things like what? Blowing up the pipelines? They've already blown up the pipelines. Maybe they have some more things just like that ready. And Donald Trump knows about these things. He knows about these things. So what does that mean? Does that mean that he's complicit in it, or what? So let's wait. Maybe some really bad things are going to happen, and I guess Donald Trump, seems to know what those things are and who's setting them off. I got to get out of the way here. Too many people walking through here every 2 or 3 minutes. So what else here? And no matter what Trump says, he keeps saying it's Biden's war. It's Biden's war. It seems to me that Trump is the president. Biden's not the president anymore, isn't it? Is Biden the president? I thought Trump was the president. So in other words, even if Trump inherited the war, it is Trump's war. Trump can end the war. He said he could end the war, but why isn't he ending the war? You know, God, I just said he just should cut off all the weapons. So, you know, a lot of people are saying how this is going to go. And I'll tell you what, even Russia says this could go for 30 more years, this war. Because it looks like Trump, he doesn't have the faintest idea on what he's doing on how to end the war. I mean, I'd hate to say this, but when it comes to him keeping his promises and him knowing what to do about ending this thing, he's an idiot. He's a friggin' idiot. He doesn't know what the heck to do. I could end the war. I seriously, I could end the war. You know, but Donald Trump, he seems to think he can, but he can't. He's a real idiot in that way. He knows how to build hotels and stuff like that, but I kind of doubt his competence in just about a lot of other things, you know. I don't know. He hired some decent people on. I don't know. I don't know why that's not working either. So, Trump's war. And let's see, what do I got here? Even as the billions that Biden's Congress has approved to send to Ukraine, they've all run out, and Trump is already starting his billion. Well, how much? At $1 billion apiece, Trump's sending 100 Patriot systems to Ukraine. On Biden's last allotment to Ukraine, it was huge. It was $1.2 billion. And Donald Trump, 100 Patriot systems, each one cost $1 billion. That's just the Patriot system. It seems to me that is $100 billion. That's 100 times more than Biden sent. And a lot of people are saying that the total amount that Biden had sent is $167 billion. And now Trump, all in one fell swoop, is sending $100 billion in weaponry to Ukraine. And what about all the weapons, or the ammunition? And what about these long-range missiles that he's also sending? That's not included in that $100 billion. So what do you think? And Trump is talking about sending all this money. Oh, those were weapons, they were already made. Those were in Germany's stockpile. I guess maybe, I don't know if they're part of the Americans' defense of Europe. I have no idea. Or is it Germany? That's obviously the United States, because I don't think the United States took them away from Germany. So you do the math and do the figuring out. So Donald Trump, apparently, he's no different than Joe Biden. He's also sending hundreds of billions of dollars you know, and he's doing it a lot. He's doing it even more than Joe Biden, I guess, at this point in time. So, okay, systems. Last week, Marco Rubio said that weapons were only stopped for 1 week. You know, during Trump's time, they stopped them for 1 week, and they've been keeping the weapons flowing to Ukraine the whole time. Yeah, but Trump, he wants to bring peace. You know, I think it seems to me that Trump was even talking about these people are giving these weapons to Ukraine or sending it into the conflict, and it's detrimental. And all, but what is Trump doing then? So okay, but actually, as I just said in the last video, as soon as that minerals deal was signed, Donald Trump released all of this stuff, and he's sending lots of weapons and things like that. Yeah, it's pretty easy. It's easy to see what's happening right there. Money for defense. So, and it's going to take years before, if they get any minerals, it's going to take years to get them. Well, what happens if these places that Ukraine has access to, not Russia, not those Russian regions, what about those areas if Ukraine, when Ukraine has access to those, what happens if they don't put out like Trump wants? Ah, surprise, surprise. Okay. Okay. So, in other words, Trump has increased a lot of money going to Ukraine, probably more so than Biden. He's just doing it in a little bit sneakier way, a little bit sneakier way. So I guess, I don't know, it's even possible. Maybe Trump's pulling a trick. Maybe he's just lying about Putin going crazy, you know, in order for him to justify the reason for keeping the war going and sending a lot more money. Is that the case, or is Trump just misinformed, or is he uninformed and whatever? Anyway, everybody has their own theory. Like I said, I'm just putting out some possibilities here. Maybe he does know exactly what he's doing. Hard to believe that somebody called the President of the United States knows far less than we do, but you know. Okay. But I was thinking it's probably it could be a very, you know, obviously it is a back deal. It's a backroom deal between Zelensky and Trump, you know. It's probably written into the into the agreements, but I don't know. I didn't get to look at the agreements. I don't know. Okay. Like I said, what Medvedev said, it's the only real bad thing he can think of is World War III. But you never know. What else does Russia have that the United States can blow up like Biden did? You know, but they're loving people, and they're not terrorists. You know, they care about the environment, even though that was the biggest release of greenhouse gases of any event in recorded human history. It was blowing up the Nord Stream pipelines. And where's Greta Thunberg on that one, huh? Anyway, Trump is the peace president after all. So, like I said. So, and I said some of this stuff already. Okay, another subject. You know, the EU has suspended, whatever that means, the EU, the visa facilitation agreement with Russia, imposing travel restrictions, I guess. Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania, Poland, Finland, and Czech Republic has banned tourist visas for Russian citizens. Norway is not in the EU, but they've also banned travel for Russian citizens into Norway. So I didn't even know. Maybe these people that actually, I'm sure there are Russians still going there, but they're probably people with dual citizenship. I am just guessing. Or under some different kind of status. So let's see here. Latvia seems to be the most harsh. On May 9th, anyone who celebrated the Soviet victory over the Nazis was arrested. So in other words, it shows whose side they must have been. I mean, they were on the Nazi side. They were on the Nazi side in World War II, and it looks like they still are. They still are. That's probably why they love Ukraine. So, was it Latvia? Yeah, Latvia. That's where I went, and they had Ukraine things all over, flags for Ukraine, and all of this stuff. Like there was one place, I think it was right across from the Russian, I don't know if it was an embassy or consulate. They had this like these boards put up, and they had stuff written on there. And I think maybe it was even in English, and they had like bloody panties, acting as if Russians going through there, raping all the people in Ukraine, and all kinds of fake crap like that, when of course it is the Ukrainians that are doing most all of that stuff. Lots of raping and murders and things like that. Anyway, I'm not saying Russians do not do that, but I'm just showing that Nazis the Americans and the British, they do it far, far more. And it's a known fact that they do. It's a known fact that they do. Like I said, I was in the Army, the U.S. Army. They don't have anything against going around and raping a whole bunch of women and this stuff like that. So it's probably even encouraged, I would guess. And that's why they give you names for like they use, what do they call them, Ivan, or the Krauts, or the Gooks and all that sort of stuff, and kill them all, let God sort them out, and all kinds of nice things that they say about whoever their designated enemy of the week or the month or the year or the decade, or as in Russia's case, the many decades are. Okay. So Lithuania is suing Belarus for 200 million euros, blaming not dollars, euros, blaming Belarus for the migrant crisis at the border. If Belarus pays, expect billions more, and of course even beyond that, even if they don't pay, it's going to be more, because they want the bill is ongoing. It's just for right now, it's 200 million. So they're going to they're building some border structures, surveillance cameras, all sorts of things, and they're going to make constant, what do they call it, upgrades, and they're going to try to charge Belarus for that. So Mexico will pay for the wall. No, that was somebody else. Somebody else was saying Mexico is going to pay for the wall. Belarus, he didn't say Belarus, but the Latvia, anyway, these people, they want Belarus to pay for the wall. And they're, get this. The reason is because Belarus was negligent in securing the border. It's kind of strange when you have open border policies to let anybody that wants to flood into the border, they sue somebody for not securing the borders because they believe in open borders. So they are, anyway, does that make sense to any of you guys? Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, and all that. Well, anyway. Well, why don't they just build some electric fences with a bunch of, I think Poland had that for a long time. Lots of concertina wire, electric fences, all kinds of stuff like that. Why don't they just do that? Maybe even put mines there instead. They're building elaborate, fancy walls, and they're making Belarus going to pay for it or something. They think they're going to make Belarus pay for it. Ooh, some guy's sneaking up on me. Okay. Let's see. And it's this migrant crisis, and they're saying that Belarus is sending airplanes to Africa and places to bring them all up and push them to the border, which they have zero evidence of. It's just something they made up and say, well, that sounds good, and it's, Belarus, they could be putting out lots of money to send their airplanes down to Africa to put migrants on there and send them to the borders to make life bad for us. No, the whole thing is that I think a lot of them were coming to Belarus, and they were going over there until, of course, the special military operation started. Then, of course, that was a big different thing. I think actually it started, before that time. But anyhow, they wanted them to come in, and these people are going to Germany anyway, most of them. Failures to secure the border. Okay. What is this? What did I write here? Okay. Oh, anyway. Okay. Actually, these people, they just want a bunch of money, and they're trying to, the whole idea is to try to destroy the economies and bankrupt Belarus and Russia. That's the whole idea anyway. They'll do anything they possibly can. And of course, even a lot of these people, a lot of these politicians, matter of fact, I think it was a very high politician in Luxembourg also did an interview, and he said it is a hybrid war that they are waging against Russia and of course Belarus by connection. And it's a hybrid war. They said that it's not going to go good, this guy. He's looked like a very senior political person. I don't know if the guy is retired or not. He had some gray hair. He looked like he had his wits about him, unlike a lot of these other people like Kaya Kallis and these people. Oh gosh, these people like Mertz. Then you get another crazy man. The newest addition to the crazy world is this Friedrich Merz. What a friggin' idiot this guy is too. I tell you what. Anyway, I think I have something about him. Let's see. Yeah, it's Lithuania building the borders, not Latvia in that time anyway. 200 million euros will go. Yeah, they said it was going to go up much higher. Upgrades, surveillance, I said that. I think, you know, like that Belarus should sue Lithuania. You know why? Because Belarus has got to set up not only tents, they're building structures, lots of structures for all of these migrants that came, and they're trying to get across the border over there. And of course, like Poland, when some of them get across, they shoot them, and they have mass graves over there. At least that's what some of the border guards that have defected to Belarus have said, that there are mass graves, and he can show where they are at, mass graves of migrants, that the border people in Poland have lined these guys up and shot them, and, you know, and dumped them in a big pit and buried them that way. So anyway, but he's lying. Anyway, let's see. Anyway, Belarus has also got to feed these people. So the feeding and clothing, and I don't know, maybe they're getting hand-me-down clothes or something, but food, there's some donations, and of course the that guy doing. Anyway, but they're paying a lot of money too, so Belarus should be suing. And of course, I'll tell you what, it's going to end up being more expensive for Belarus. And of course, that land that these people are using, it can't be used for farming anymore, because these refugees or migrants are using it. So, wonder, did West Germany sue East Germany for building the wall? I don't think they did. So how can it go anyway? Yes. Apparently there's a new COVID-19. Why do they call it 19? A new COVID-19 variant spreading in the United States called NB 1.8.1.181. NB 181. So get your mask, people. Russian, get your mask. And I don't know, is there going to be a rush on the toilet paper? So you might want to stock up on toilet paper before the toilet paper apocalypse comes out to get you. By the way, see that video by J.P. Sears, the toilet paper apocalypse, one of his best ones. I guess there's different versions of it. Some things they had to cut out. Maybe that was a little bit gross, I think. Okay. Ukraine's NATO representative Igor Chernev says the U.S. support is cooling. I don't know. Russia says that is why Ukraine is launching so many drones. And another name for those drones is called provocations. And of course, it looks like Trump is falling for it. So that's why I'm thinking maybe this is some sort of a plot. It's trying to, you know, ignore the fact that all these drones are flying there. Oh, no, they're not sending. Oh, they're just minding their own business. They're living peacefully, and then Russia's attacking them. So in other words, they're ignoring the fact that Ukraine is sending thousands and thousands of drones. And remember, I've been telling you for many, many videos that Ukraine has the largest amount of combat drones of any country on earth, much more than Russia. I think maybe, I don't know if it was 4-1 or 10-1, but they got a lot more than Russia. And I think Russia might, they're getting pretty damn good at this, and they're getting pretty good at even drone defenses. So anyway, it's not been so effective yet. I don't think, unless Russia's holding some information back. So Trump is not getting any of this news, apparently. And let's see what else. Now Netanyahu, he's come out and he said there's no starvation at all in Gaza. And he said that the Palestinians are overweight and they need to exercise more. So in other words, Netanyahu is saying that the Palestinians are too fat, they eat too much, and they're lazy. So, you know, running from bombings and things like that, I guess, I don't know, that's lazy. Jeez, what a... You guys know that they don't lie to you in the mainstream media, do they? All those pictures of dying and starving really skinny children and the dead burned bodies and the film footage, and oh, that's all fake, right? Okay, Merz, I guess he came out and he's threatening Slovakia, you know, Robert Fico. Merz, you know, the leader of Germany, in case you don't know. And Robert Fico, the leader of Slovakia, he was putting it out. And he was on a, that Merz is, I'm threatening him. I don't know if I saw any film footage of that, of his threats, but he's basically saying that Fico has to be subservient to the bloc. He's got to knuckle down, basically, and give up their sovereignty. That's exactly what he didn't say that in those words. That's exactly what he means. He said, if Slovakia continues to distance itself from the bloc's common course, is what his reason is. And of course what that is, and you guys all know, it's the Hate Russia Club. How many people are putting this out too? I mean, if I could get some videos and maybe get the stories and put it up here, you know, it's not me that originated. I might have originated the word the Hate Russia Club, but it's the same thing. You must hate Russia. That is a prerequisite for you doing anything. You must hate Russia. So, yes, Fico says, Robert Fico said that Merz's marks are unacceptable as Slovakia is a sovereign country. And he said if they carry on like this with other countries, it will end badly, probably for the European Union. You know, and I don't know if they, they probably means the European Union. And of course, all these people are, I don't know, maybe justifiably so, they're all in bed with the European Union. But old Fico and Orban, these guys, they seem to have the notion that they're still sovereign countries. And, you know, for the most part, Germany runs the EU. So whatever, you know, the EU is putting out, most of this has been put out by Germany. And who, Ursula von der Leyen? Oh, she's German. She was the Minister of Defense of Germany, you know. And anybody who's going to get in any big position in the EU, they have to be, to a large extent, subservient to the wishes of Germany. And of course, I used to like Germany, and I still like Germany. I just don't like the politics anymore. Okay, as I was saying, a lot of other people are putting out a lot of the stuff I'm saying. Larry Johnson, the former CIA guy, really like it when he's talking. He said Trump is uninformed. He said he's woefully and hopelessly uninformed. But I'm saying he's not only uninformed, he is misinformed. I don't think that Johnson said that or anybody else has said that yet. He called him also just completely out of touch. He called Trump a Janus-faced. Janus, I guess, who is that? The Roman, was it Roman god that has two faces looking off in both opposite directions? So it's like Trump, you know, he says one thing the other day, next day he says something exactly the opposite of that, and this and that and the other thing, and Trump, I don't know. He's a little bit, I would say he's got a little bit of Erdogan in him. Maybe Erdogan is his brother. Erdogan, you never know what he's going to be doing next. But anyway, Trump, he said that Trump is not thoughtful and is not, he's not thoughtful. He's driven by emotions rather than reason. Johnson said that Trump, in that respect, he is an anti-Putin. He's the exact opposite of Putin, who does not, and he said it but in different words. He said that Trump does not use his emotions to decide everything, but Trump is heavily relies on his emotions to decide things. And that's probably why everybody, rational people, I'm not talking about the Europeans, except for maybe Fico and maybe Orban, and maybe there's a couple more, maybe in private and things, but Africa, and most all of Asia and South America, and they all highly respect Vladimir Putin, and they don't respect the American politicians, or even for that matter the European politicians, because these people are a bunch of friggin' crazy knuckleheads that don't know how to use their brain. I don't know. It's just incredible. And even, you know, if you look at, for example, Lukashenko, a lot of times he seems like he seems like he's a hard-ass guy, and I even call him a hard-ass, and I'm sure he probably doesn't mind if I do. Nobody's come to arrest me. I've said that many times. But the guy thinks far more rational, and he makes fantastic decisions, far more than these friggin' idiots over there in the West. I cannot believe it. But yet they act like Lukashenko's this bad guy. Well, I'll tell you what, if he is a dictator, and like in Saudi Arabia or a lot of these other countries, at least things are much better here than in these places that are supposed to have something called democracy. They call that friggin' democracy. You post something on the internet, look at, like me, like I just said something about the leader here. You say that in Great Britain and they're probably going to come and arrest you, you know, but they have freedom of speech and we don't, I guess is what the whole deal is all about, you know. The thing is, you know, I'll tell you what, I don't really have any reason to speak badly so much about this government here. What in the heck do they do bad to me? What do they do bad? They try to run the country. You know, the money that they actually collect in taxes or whatever ways, it actually goes into the country. It doesn't go into people's pockets. It doesn't go to Ukraine. It doesn't go to all these other foreign places all over, into the tune of hundreds of billions and trillions. And then a lot of this money, as Elon Musk has already said, you know, trillions of dollars, like they disappear in the United States. You know, but the United States is printing all of this money, and it's got the world's reserve currency. So all this money, huge trillions and trillions of dollars, are just, it makes me wonder if the United States people are ever going to have to pay this back. You know, and then like a lot of people say, well, who do we pay it back to? You know, I don't friggin' know. I mean, who do they pay it back to? What is it? How much debt? 37 trillion? I have no idea how many trillions, and it's going up trillions and trillions all the time. It took the United States, what, 150, 200 years to get up to 1 billion, and now they get a billion every day. Wow, incredible. So, talk about inflation, huh? What is a debt inflation? I don't really understand how that all works, to be honest with you. That's how things are going. So, I'm getting close to the end. Good, it's not going to be an hour long. Maybe it'll only take 10 hours to upload this video. Let's see. So Trump is the anti-Putin. It's just like Ukraine is the anti-Russia. Maybe Trump can think about being the ruler of Ukraine. That'd be kind of interesting too. Anyway, since February, these are these statistics I was going to tell you about. Since February 2022, that's just February 2022. That is not including what happened before that in the Donbass when Ukraine killed 14,000 civilians. So since February 2002, Ukraine has killed 6,831 civilians that they know of, at least. Maybe some that are, I don't know. But anyway, not when you can't find them, they're not yet dead. I guess you don't count that. 223 are children, at least it's not like into the many thousands like in Israel. Boy, that targets children purposefully. They target children in Israel. Wow. So anyway, 16,000 people were injured, I guess. I don't know if maybe that means badly injured rather than just scratches. Over 270,000 shells were launched at civilian targets. 270,000. Still, I don't think they beat Israel. Over 120 civilians have been purposefully executed. So they have executed 120 civilians, and I'm not talking about the military. They've executed much more military. They execute a lot of military. They even execute Ukrainian military in Ukraine. So, you know, and it makes you wonder if it's been up to well over 1,000, maybe 2,000 of Russian military people that they executed. I have no idea. A lot of that has been on film footage where they have like 8 of them that have surrendered, and a lot of them are tied behind their back, and they're just executing and killing them. You know, nice guys, you know, boy oh boy. But they do that in a lot of places today, and I guess the people that do that are normally referred to as Nazis. But you know, there has to be something about race involved in that, and of course there is. You know, that Russians are subhuman, or I don't know, Palestinians. As a matter of fact, what is it? In Israel, they believe all of us are subhumans, and maybe that only certain Jewish families, and not even all Jews, only certain Jewish families. But they're going to let a lot of people live. Luckily, if they were in charge, I think they would probably let most Americans live, you know. And I don't know. That's also kind of a strange thing. You know, we're hearing, I don't have it in my notes, but I was going to mention that. But you know, you hear about this genocide in South Africa, and apparently I don't really think it is. Ramaphosa has put out, you know, the leader of South Africa, he said that these guys going up and saying kill the boar, and all that is not necessarily meaning to kill the boar, you know, which means the farmers. And I think a lot of them are Dutch or something originally, for like, I don't know, 100 years ago, 200, I don't know. But they're white farmers that are, before that time, do not originate in South Africa. And I don't really know the deal, but I believe some of them definitely have been killed. I don't think it's a genocide, but I think it's something to be looking at. It's not a very nice thing there. Matter of fact, I'm positive it's not a genocide. I think that's just going way, way, way too far. And I don't know if they're saying that what's going on in Israel is not a genocide. You know, killing children on purpose, targeting specifically children. To me, that sounds like genocide. Anyway, but like I said, I don't know about this stuff in South Africa. And Ramaphosa, he says that that's just a chant that they use, and it's not meant to be serious. But I would even tell Ramaphosa that they should kind of take that out of their chant, these people, and you know, put it into that. So I don't know, is there any more to say about anything here? I'm gonna probably get up, go the other direction here. Good, I think I'm gonna have still some battery power left in my phone, because I was using my phone before this. But anyway, what else do I have to say? Anything important? Maybe not. If so, I forgot about it. Tough luck, Dookie boy. Okay, everybody, thanks for joining me on this video as well, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Till then, bye-bye.